What is going on, guys, and welcome back to a new video on F125. We're jumping right back into the action. We are talking about what you can see on the road right now, and that is how to actually switch off the racing line. I know a lot of you out there, they are still using the racing line, and if you're enjoying playing the game, I just want to take this away. Play the game however you enjoy playing it. If you enjoy the game, the way you play it, and keep on playing it, there's no reason to change. But if you want to take it a little bit more serious and you want to improve as a driver, if you have fun doing that, challenging yourself and leveling up your skills, then this is the right video for you. So, the racing line. Pretty much the ideal racing line according to the game devs. It's dynamic, so it changes from green to red to yellow. Green means acceleration, yellow, lift, red, braking. I can already tell you one thing. If you follow the racing line, it will not be accurate. Like, it will... I don't lift here, I literally... If you actually lift, it's going to be slow. Also here, it will probably tell you to go to the left. That would be the real racing line, but in the F1 game, this is one thing, or in sim racing, you want to stay as tight as possible to the inside without scrubbing too much speed. Look here, it's lifting technically again, braking for a long time, lifting. It's not like that. It gives you this impression, but this is not at all the case. You don't drive like that. Like, you really go from technically full throttle to immediately full braking in most hard braking zones. Like here, for example, yeah, there's a lift because you don't brake here, but here you want to smash the brakes. You don't want to hesitate and be slow on these things. You really want to use the power of the downforce of these cars to extract as much as you can. It's either throttle or it's braking. Obviously, you don't always brake 100% into a braking zone, but you need to go to the peak braking as quickly as possible. And then you need to go as quickly as possible once you're off the brakes. Like, it should be no delay at all back on the power. That's one thing that I want you to already focus on, but that's just a general driving advice. It has not too much to do with the racing line, but just because the racing line is looking like that and it's dynamic based off your speed, now it's telling me I can take everything flat because I'm too slow anyways. But if you just follow the racing line, like the actual racing line, I'm telling you, it's going to be slower. Definitely. And they are sometimes not even following the real racing line. Like, if you compare it to real F1 drivers, they don't always drive the line that they are telling you here. But like it says there also yellow, no, you take it flat. The next thing is, the reason why you can't turn off the racing line is because you're forcing yourself to create reference points in your head. The reference points, if you don't have a racing line, it's like in real life. If you have ever driven on go-karts or anything else, you know how the brake works. You usually start pushing into it gradually. You don't go, boom, I think that can work. You're scared, or you're like aware about what could happen if you injure yourself. So you take it one step at a time, and you need to develop this sort of feeling on the sim as well. If you turn off the racing line fully, you need to find spots where you are like, it doesn't even, like, even if it's just about a braking, because when it goes red, you know, oh, I need to brake. Sometimes it shows you too early to go red. You wouldn't need to, but the game is just like trying to think about the casual, about everyone. It's not made to be on the limit. Because if it would be on the limit, so many people would crash. Like, look how much later I could brake. And if I change the brake bias, I can brake even later. So the racing line gives you a sort of direction where you need to position your car. The basic rule, which my father told me when I was a little kid, outside, inside, outside. You go from the outside, entering a corner, to the inside, which is called the corner apex, and then you open up the steering wheel and start accelerating from that point onward, which is the exiting phase, and you go to the outside. This allows you to carry as much speed and as much grip available from the tire and the car, no matter which car you're driving. That's always the rule. Outside, inside, outside. That's usually the racing line. Go from the outside here left, to the inside right, to the apex, push, outside. It carries you out. You're trying to rotate the car in until you're at the apex, and from that point onward, you kind of want to create a little bit of understeer. Not really understeer, but you want to create stability that pushes you with the minimum steering input to the edge of the circuit. You don't need any green line for that. You don't need anything to show you that. You just need to think, where's the next corner going? Okay. If you don't know the track, it can be helpful, but how would you do it in real life? Would you ask them to paint it on the track? No. You would just take it one step at a time. Drive slowly. Okay, I'm approaching here. Where is it going? If you're really new, a beginner, just take your time. The first thing should be, okay, I'm going on time trial. I'm just discovering, okay, there's a DRS zone. I have to go here. And once you feel like, oh, I don't have to think about where the track is going anymore, then you start picking up the pace. And then you're braking a bit earlier into the corners. And you're like, oh, way too early. You can even like literally slam the brakes and check, ooh, I'm already here. Then you go next lap, a little bit later, and you start picking up, and you're looking for reference points. Like for example here, the blackboard, you could use that as a reference point, or the 50 meter board, or the 100. It always depends on the corner, obviously. And with these sort of things, you can create, first of all, braking points, second of all, turn-in points. For a beginner, you would think, oh, Marcel told me to focus on a braking point. Where is it? I'm looking at the blackboard, I'm looking at, no, maybe the 50, and then you focus on the 50 and you forget to look at the apex. And it's gonna be very overwhelming, and it will take you time to naturally process it without always thinking, I need to look at a 50, I need to look at a 50. And that's where practice comes into play. So you search for a spot. For example here, I would probably, after the blackboard with full speed, it's probably the right point. Then here the blackboard is the turn-in point. You don't need to brake here. Use the curb as a reference to open up the steering wheel. And look at the apex. Look at the exit. Now 50 meter inside. Bam. If I now look at it and force myself to focus, then I will see these points. But when I'm just now naturally driving, I can tell you where I'm looking. I'm looking right now to the inside on the tarmac. Now I'm looking ahead. I'm looking at the braking points, but now I'm looking at the apex. I did not look at any sort of braking point. You have this in your subconscious and peripheral vision. So now I'm looking at a braking point at 100 and looking at the apex already. That was too late, for example. But I also have to learn, you know. I know rough points, I have a feel for it, but my feeling is not always perfect. But here, let's say 30 meters before or 40 meters before the blackboard, like something like that. And you start building up these references, and then you are seeing, okay, maybe it's still too early, maybe I can find a different one. But do me one favor, use consistent braking points, use consistent turn-in points. At the beginning, like I told you, you will be frustrated. You're like always gonna overthink, oh, I need to focus on the braking point. Now I overshot it because I didn't turn. Breathe, relax, search for these points, but be smooth. Everything in racing should be one motion. No corrections. If you push on the limit, there will be corrections at some point. But control corrections, not mistake corrections. They're gonna be limit corrections because you're dancing on the limit. And now just focus on going smooth, going quicker. You can go full power without any problem on the straights. Your brain needs to slow down in the corners. Like just be like, okay, now what do? I brake, I turn, I'm not fully on the limit, I just relax. Like for some that might look fast, for me this is super slow. Now again, like early braking, not even full, like. But you need to make sure your initial input in the slow speed is hard. Like it needs to be immediately 100%. And you're just building up on these things. And then you gradually see, oh, the delta is dropping. Or, here I was too slow. You can play with the delta. Use it as your reference and see how you can improve. On time trial, it's the easiest because you don't have tire wear, you don't have fuel, you don't have damage, you don't have any car racing you. So this is quite easy for you to actually get an idea what is going on. You can immediately make progress. But the biggest switch, if you're used to this, is literally turning it off because suddenly there is no reference anymore. And then it's gonna be hard. You're like, oh, everything that Marcel was talking about makes sense. But then it's boom. Where is it? You still have the racing line a little bit on the track, but even don't focus on that. Go for reference points that are not shadows or not movable shadows. Like these things never. I know some esports drivers did as well, like Freddy, for example, in the past, and he was like, oh man, now different time of the day, there's no shadow anymore. It's bad. You need to go for fixed objects that you can use as a reference. If not, then you're done for. So keep in mind, always the shortest track distance is gonna be faster in sim racing, and then you start building up on these reference points. You're looking for braking markers. You're looking like 100 meter board. Okay, I'm braking at 100. Is that enough? Yes, no, maybe. Then turn-in point, like I would initially just focus on braking. Turn-in will probably come natural, but go for one thing at a time. And if you don't make quick progress, guys, it's a long way to go. It takes time, so don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay. You don't need to be perfect. Trust me, Lewis Hamilton also didn't know how to turn in and brake before he was karting, and there he also had to learn it. He had his dad as a teacher. Everyone has a teacher. If not, then your teacher's experience. You can't just be naturally in a car and go like and immediately figure everything out. I don't think there's anyone, not even Max Verstappen, even though we all think he's an alien. Racing is simple. It's just difficult to perfect. There's braking, there's turning, there's shifting and accelerating. And all these small details like with car setups and whatsoever. If you want to be a good racing driver, you need to nail the basics and work on the details, not the opposite. You don't know how often I'm watching trail braking videos or stuff, well, not about racing line, I don't need that usually, but sometimes on a new track I'm also like, what is the correct racing line? Where's the turning point? Where's the braking point? It's all a learning curve again if there's something new. Just be patient, don't be rude to yourself, and take your time, because it will definitely take time, guys. Like, you will not be a natural right away. If this video helped you though, make sure to smash the like button and share with your friends that also need some help with turning off the racing line if they want to. I will see you in the next one. You're Marcel. Have a great day. Peace.